Welcome to Wellness Made Easy with Wendy and Kirsten. Hi, I'm Wendy. After I graduated with my master's in wellness management, I started my own company, T2 Coaching, Health, Fitness, and Sport.
And I'm Kirsten, an athlete, vegan, life coach, and girl mom, running a business focused on helping others create a life they love.
We are here to explore all things wellness to help you become the person you've always wanted to be.
So if that's why you're here, open your ears and your mind as we tackle the world of wellness together.
Hey, everybody. Hi, Wendy.
Hi, Kirsten. How are you?
I am doing pretty good today. A little behind in life. What about you?
Well, I'm at Lifetime. I like to find a quiet space, and it's kind of crowded here, so I just can't find a good background.
And you have music in the background now.
There's music everywhere. I can't go anywhere. I mean, there's like a space upstairs in the cardio room, like an office, but I don't know if it's, I just don't want to take the time to go up there. And what if it's being used? What if it's going to be used in a half hour and I'm up there? Because usually there's department head meetings at 2:00, which is the time, 2:00 Eastern time, which is the time we do our podcast. So like, you know what? We just got to make the best of it. And it sounds so much better than last week. We had to cut our podcast in half last week because the first half was all garbled and junky. And we had a lot of good information.
And I had such a good wellness win last week that we had to cut off. So I've had a lot this week, but I'm going to share my one from last week because it trumps everything. And that was that I got a new stripe on my white belt for jujitsu. So now I am up to 4 stripes, which I had no idea what that, like, I mean, I don't really know what it means anyway, but somebody was like, oh yeah, after 4 stripes, you move up to a blue belt. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm closer to a blue belt than a white belt. This is insane. So that was a huge wellness win for me because jujitsu has been very challenging for me over the last year and 4 months that I've been doing it.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
I know. So yeah, that was my last week's wellness win. But I wanted to share it since we had to cut off that part of our podcast and I was just super proud of it. So what's your wellness win?
Well, I have one more swim meet with the youth swim team. Not that it's to say forever, but I have one more swim meet. We're cutting my coaching the youth swim team a month short. I thought I was going to coach through March. And my wellness win, I say that because my wellness win is one of my swimmers who I recruited to silver about 4 months ago. He's been rocking and rolling, and he got his 4th age group state meet qualifying time at the meet we had last weekend.
Nice.
And the meet we had last weekend was called the Georgia Peach State Meet. So it was a pretty competitive meet, but a little bit easier to qualify than the age group state meet. And he was the overall 12-year-old champion in the 50 free, and he knocked it out of the park. He knocked it out of the park on his 27-1.
Nice.
As a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
And he knocked it out of the park because of the turn. So I got to explain this because it's a pretty proud coach moment where we, the turns, especially in a 50, the starts and turns make or break your 50 sprint. And his turns have been slow and we've been working on them, but they're still kind of slow. And at the meet during the warm up, and his father has it all on tape, instead of telling him to like spin faster, I said, get your feet around faster. And it was that change in language, which meant the same thing as spinning faster, just get your feet around faster. It clicked. And we did a couple turns, in the warm up. And then in the meet, he went into that turn 3rd or 4th, and he came out like a body length ahead. And as soon as I saw the turn, I knew he was going to win. Like I saw that, like it was just a transformation in this 12-year-old boy because he's very intuitive. He's got a lot of talent too. And he got it and he won. And it's just a proud moment. And, unfortunately I had to break the news to them that this is my final week coaching.
Oh, they didn't know before this week.
No. And I was going to wait and tell him after the state meet this weekend, but I accidentally sent out an email to all.
Oops.
I didn't mean to send it to all the Lifetimes, but for some reason I was clicking on buttons and I was kind of confused. And I ended up sending it to all of the parents of all the Lifetimes in Georgia. And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't mean to do that. And then I quickly had to text his dad, sorry, the email's out. But it was good. It was good
Right.
because, like we got to talk a lot, and we can get to continue to talk about what the next step is for his son. And instead of doing it Sunday night after state meet, like, sorry, there's no practice tomorrow. These are your options. It's going to be an ongoing thing. And he went into the aquatics office, and he just put me on, like, he highlighted me, and he was just really made the new aquatics manager know what a value I am, and that I'm not only a premium coach, I'm like a titanium coach. Like Lifetime just doesn't know what they have. They have this titanium coach. And I used to have more of the elite level swimmers, but over the years, the program has just kind of not been developing well. And he just went in there and let them know, and he talked so highly of me. And it was just really nice. It was really nice because, I've worked at health clubs my whole life. I taught youth swimmers pretty much my whole life, and I will continue to coach youth swimmers again. And it was just, but not everyone realizes the value of you because they're new.
Right.
I mean, this manager, she's been here 3 months. She's new. She didn't ask the right questions. So I didn't divulge any information because if you don't ask the right questions, I don't know what you don't know. And so,
right.
It was just a double wellness win to have his son do so well and to have him talk me up so much that I just feel really good about my being here and potentially coaching youth again here at Lifetime.
Right.
Or moving on to a different team.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember when I worked at the Pulse for like 10 years or however long I worked there, I never felt like I was appreciated ever. And I was like, my clients, oh my gosh, my clients were like, and I was one of the like personal trainers with a full load, and I had all these return clients, and I'm like, do they not realize like, and I worked so hard, and I just never felt like I was ever appreciated, but my clients they made me feel very loved. So
right. My own personal business clients, they're great. I mean, we all have our own niche, and we all have our great clients who we attract to our business. But even at the Fort Collins Club, again, I worked there from 1999 or 1998 until 2016, until I moved out of Colorado. And it wasn't until my boss gave me an exit interview that I feel like that was the first time he said, "I appreciate you," and it made me cry because I'm like, "Oh, you've never said that."
You're like, I had no idea.
Now that I'm leaving, because we clashed a lot. Like, we were really different. We clashed a lot. There was a lot of toxicity in relationships that I had with other managers.
Right.
But I didn't realize it until I stepped away. But you know what? People just, if you appreciate someone, just let them know.
Yeah, you guys, I know that's so.
And it lets me feel good, and we're all feeling good.
Yeah.
Again, it's part of the wellness of appreciation.
Yeah.
Let people know.
Yeah, a lady at in my class on Monday, she came up to me. She just comes to one of my functional training classes I teach at the gym, and she came up and she was like, I wanted to tell you, you are a really great instructor. And I was like, thank you. And she goes, no, really. And she kept and it almost made me feel like not uncomfortable, but I'm like, okay, thanks. Okay. That's enough. Because she was kind of gushing over it. And
right.
But it was it made me feel so good because we want to affect people, and we want people to, like you and I, we always talk about movement is our life, and we want everyone to love it the way we love it, because that's why we are healthy and fit and get to do all these things, and we're mobile, and we're beating, not that everyone's competitive, but we're beating kids half our age. Adults half our age and races, because we're passionate about it. And so if we can help other people feel better about themselves and live long, healthy lives, then we're doing what we want to do. So when people tell us that we're doing a great job of it, of course it feels good.
Yeah, and it makes us, more motivated. I think we have a lack of motivation days. It makes us more motivated to continue doing what we do.
Yeah, especially with it when we coach kids, because sometimes the kids don't necessarily. I mean, we just had this Valentine's thing at the swim school where the kids could sit at this table and make Valentines to the instructors. And we had little mailboxes and kids gave me Valentines that I'm like, they always like roll their eyes at me, or they like never listen to what I say. And they're making me Valentines and they're like, you're my favorite teacher. I love you. But kids typically aren't the ones who give us the good feedback. They're not like, oh, you've helped me so much on a regular basis. So when you do hear that, and especially from the parents, it does feel really good. So, can you hear? You have a lot of background noise, but I'm hoping I'm hoping the recording will make it go away.
What's the noise?
There's a beep,
yeah,
beep, that, and then it just sounds like people talking and like blenders going, and there's just, I know. Yeah, if you're in the cafe, sometimes the recording takes out the background noise. So we can just try it out.
Let's just keep rolling with it.
Just keep rolling. All right. So you guys, today Wendy and I are going to talk about some financial things. We did one podcast last year on simple tips to save money. And what we wanted to talk about a little bit today, because money and finances are a topic that could potentially be very stressful in people's lives. It's something that a lot of people have a lot of stress over, or anxiety, or emotions. And when we talk about being well, we talk about in all areas of our life. And so if we can do things that limit the amount of stress that we have, it's going to make us overall well. It's going to make us feel better physically, mentally, and emotionally. We say this almost every time. And finances is something I've had a lot of emotions around my whole life. I've had a lot of stress around my whole life. So we kind of wanted to talk about a couple things. Number one, like Wendy and I are both coaches, and we both have Wendy and I didn't talk about this before, so I don't know what she's going to say about it, but I have a super irregular income. Like there's some months I make twice as much as I make other months. So we wanted to kind of talk about income and expenses and how to budget. If you have an irregular income, what are some ways that you can make that less stressful? And also some simple tips that her and I have done over the last couple of years. So really current things that have helped our financial situation, because I really believe that having peace in your financial life can bring a lot of peace into your everything else in your life, just into your life in general, because finances are a really big part of a lot of people's lives. So Wendy, do you want to talk for a couple minutes about kind of like your experience, past, present, with finances and emotions, and how you've dealt with that?
Yeah. So again, I think a lot of stress that people carry is definitely has to do with some people's personalities as well. And the reason I say that, I'm going to share stories. So when I was in college at Eastern Michigan University, I applied for my first credit card because there were like vendors all over campus your freshman year applying for credit cards. And I was a math major. You know, my undergraduate degree is math education, but I've never, ever, my education never taught me how to budget. So I really didn't know what that meant. So when I applied for a credit card, I'm like, I didn't know anything about interest either. I never really processed that as a math and numbers person. I still never that was not part of my education. I was trying to do integrations and deviations and just higher level math, not budgeting. And I wish they taught budgeting at the high school level, like how to make a budget and what interest rates do. So I'm telling this story because I used to apply for credit cards. And I'm like, my mindset was, I got the rest of my life to pay this off. Okay. Like I literally thought that is what I believe. Like, I didn't understand that the interest was like, I would pay off every month what I was supposed to pay off, but I didn't know the interest was making how much I owed increase, compound. Right. I don't know if that's the right word. And so I'm
would accrue, the interest would accrue.
Yeah. So I could never pay off credit cards. I was paying off. I was thinking, I was like, okay, I just spent $3,000 on a credit card. I'm paying off the minimum. How come it's not going down? Because the interest, the introduction, 2% interest. And then after a month, it goes like up 30. To 25%. Yeah. Didn't read the fine print. So all of a sudden I have all this like credit card debt that I'm still like, over the years, I'm like, I don't know if I can pay this off over my lifespan. So then I educated myself about all that. And, I would let my friends use my credit and borrow money from my credit card to loan to friends. And then they wouldn't pay me back. And I got myself into a mess. And a lot of it was just due to my personality and how naive I was. And so, I have all this credit card debt, and then I graduated. I moved to Colorado, and then I go to grad school. And when I was in grad school, because I had a full ride scholarship for undergraduate degree that allowed me to save money to move to Colorado, again, I have $8,000 in my savings account. I could live the rest of my life on that. Just absolutely no concept. So then I got into more financial debt because when I went to grad school, I had to get student loans. So then when I got my graduate degree, I had all the student loan debt. And then, in the meantime, Don and I met, and we ended up getting married, and we moved to, so I have all this credit card debt I'm trying to pay off. Then we ended up moving, I stopped all my jobs in 2008 in Georgia or in Colorado. We moved to Chattanooga, Tennessee for his job. That totally tanked us. So we were only gone for like 4 months, and then we moved back to Colorado, and he's jobless. And then all of a sudden, instead of getting my 3 jobs back, I get, 10 jobs back because I'm the only income person. And we had hit so rock bottom that I think thanks to you, we went bankrupt. And I think maybe you had. Oh my gosh,
I forgot we talked about that.
Yeah. We had bankrupt. And the funny part about this story is we had this car payment, and I had talked to you about getting my car repossessed. And I think you and Rick had done that, but it took a couple months for them to come get it. Right. So when we called our car place and said, we can't pay this, come get it. Like, they came and got it like the next day. And all of a sudden, like, I have this, like, I have my road bike and no car. There's like a foot of snow in Colorado. It was below freezing. I'm coaching at 5 a.m. Rocky Mountain High School. That's what was one of my like 10 jobs that I had. So I had to get a mountain bike. I got a cheapo mountain bike my friend gave me, and I had to commute in the snow on a mountain bike because we didn't have a car because they came and got it so fast. So again, I was still pretty relaxed about it all because I feel like I paid my debt. I just couldn't pay the interest. I feel like I paid off all the money I've ever spent on a credit card. I just couldn't pay the interest. So I didn't necessarily feel bad about going bankrupt. I'm like, you know what? I paid it off. I just can't pay this interest. And I didn't know about the interest, yada, yada, yada. So anyways, after this whole bankruptcy issue, Don and I started listening to Dave Ramsey, which I know you do too. Mm-hmm. And we ended up going on the Dave Ramsey baby step plan. And that was like the introduction to budgeting. And I still struggle with a budget because I'm like, you just don't make money to budget. Like, we make enough money to like buy groceries and to pay our necessities of daily living bills, electricity, water, heat, rent. How do we budget when we don't even make enough money to budget? But we had to learn. And it was definitely a game changer to learn how much money you're taking in and how much money you're outgoing and how to make that all balance. And that's my story about budgeting. And the personality I had, did it ever stress me out? I mean, thankfully I had a partner that also, once he got a job, my husband got a job, things were a little bit easier. But in the moment, even going bankrupt and getting the car repossessed, it never made me necessarily anxious or stressful. I just focused on what I could do. I just did the things I had to do to make it work. And so that's part of my personality. I'm always able to adapt my spending or anything like that to make whatever is going on in my life work so I could live.
So do you feel like now, do you guys budget now?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And so do you feel like that creates a little more peace of mind, just understanding where your money comes in, where it goes?
Absolutely. And it's a lot easier to budget now because my husband's been a nurse for 10 or so years. So he makes a lot more money than he did in 2008 when we were in tanked. So, and my business, again, just like your business, it's ups and downs. In 2023, after 2023, when we started 2024, I thought T2 coaching was going out of business because my clientele, a lot of my clients were getting married, moving, having babies, laid off. I mean, there's just a lot of reasons that the income I had was no longer, because when you own your own business and you rely on athletes to pay you and they leave you, what do you do? You have to learn how to budget differently. You have to learn the marketing part of your business. And again, I just want to coach. I wish someone else could deal with all that other nonsense of owning your own business, but I'm like, it's just me, myself, and I got to figure this stuff out. And I think that was the first time in my life I was really anxious about T2 coaching and my job. And it really, I won't say stressed me out. It made me really sad though. It made me really sad that I never call myself a failure, but it made me really sad that all of a sudden I've been coaching for so long and I was failing in my business. And I had to just learn what I needed to do. And I ended up hiring a business coach last year in 2025. And all of a sudden, my business is booming again. So you just got to learn to manage, and definitely having money makes me happy. Every time I used to get a paycheck, I used to get checks before they had Zelle and Venmo and all those other apps. Every time I got a check and I gave it to Dawn, I'd be like, money makes me happy. I got paid today. I got paid today. I got paid today. And it always made me happy.
Yeah. So when people are like, oh, money doesn't make you happy, you're like, actually.
Always made me happy. And it wasn't necessarily the actual, it was because all of a sudden I could sign up for a race because I got paid. Or I could help my husband. I could help with the bills because I got paid. I could buy him something for a holiday, like a Christmas present or a birthday present, because I got paid and it was money. And it always made me happy. I'll tell you what, I told Dawn every time I got a paycheck, I was happy.
That's awesome. Yeah, Wendy and I are very different in the way that she's always been so laid back about things and fly by the seat of her pants. And money has been such a stressor and a point of anxiety for me since I was a child. And I just have a lot of things about money trigger me, and it's getting definitely better. I've done a lot of work around it. So I've done a lot of work in therapy. I did that whole millionaire mind thing where I did 3 years of just working around money. And I think this year my goal is to get my finances just all in a line again. But as a child, we were very, very poor. I had no money. When I was young, I didn't really notice because I didn't know. But then around middle school, people started telling me. Friends would come over to my house and they're like, yeah, your house is really disgusting, or your house is really small, or your clothes are really ugly, or, whatever. Oh, and so then I was like, oh crap, I'm poor. We used to get free lunch, and they were a different colored lunch tickets. And I thought it was I'm like, oh, I'm so special. I'm so awesome. I get free lunch. I didn't know it because we were poor. So I think I just had a lot of emotion around money. And so anytime something would happen, all the things that I went through with money and all the things that you just talked about, that would have all just put me over the edge. I cried about money all the time. If I got my credit card statement and it had more interest than what's due, stuff like that, I would just cry. I would just freak out. It it was so stressful for me. And it was always like that all growing up. And I have been out of debt like 10 times. And it felt so good every time. And I'm so proud of myself. And then I just go right back in. And I've been listening to Dave Ramsey for 20 years. And Rick and I, we went all in. We started his business. We got a $50,000 SBA loan. We bought this brand new Ford 450 or whatever, 350. I don't remember, some giant truck, got this huge rack built up on it. Like, we bought all the tools. We were like going all in on him opening his business. And then we realized after the first year that he's just not a business owner type. Like, and I did all the like business stuff, but if he didn't have a job, he would just like hang out and wait for someone to call him for a job, like owning his own business instead of like getting out there and getting after business. And he is a hardworking man. He still is. He's an electrician now, and he works his ass off. He is a hard worker, but he is a very good employee. And it took us like a year or so to realize that. And we were not even coming close to paying all these monthly payments that we had for the business. And that's why we decided we ended up declaring bankruptcy. It was such a hard decision because I felt like you're like, oh, I feel like okay about it because I felt like the biggest failure. I felt like such a loser. I felt like so much shame and so much like, oh God, I took it out on myself. Like I'm not smart enough to run this business. We made all these stupid decisions. What's wrong with me? And it took a hit on me. And then I felt good for a minute because I'm like, oh, we're starting over. We know this now. Rick went and got another job, like a job that, paid decent. And I was always like, Wendy, I've always had like 10 jobs and we were making it work. And, we'd get out of debt and then something would happen. Like we would go buy this or this or this, or we bought that RV. It was like $98,000. And then we bought this and we would just do things. And then we would get overwhelmed and then work our ass off and then get out of debt. And we're like, we're debt free. We're so awesome. I'm never getting a credit card again. And then I get a credit card and I'm like, oh, there's all these things we need. I'm just going to put them on the credit card and then pay them off. And then it's kind of the same thing as you said, Wendy. It's like all of a sudden the interest is like $300 a month and the minimum payment is $300 a month.
Yeah. And
all we could pay was the minimum payment because anyway, it's just gone on my whole life. And I ended up this year, at the end of this year, all of a sudden I looked at my credit card and I had charged $8,000 in the last couple months. And I was just like, at some point, this has just got to end. Like I cannot keep doing it because opposite of Wendy, every time I get out of debt and I'm elated and get back into debt, I like dig deeper into like what a crappy human I am. And it's just not, it doesn't help my overall well-being at all. So I committed at the end of last year. I'm like, I'm getting back on the Dave Ramsey bandwagon. And for those of you who don't know who Dave Ramsey is, Wendy and I both mentioned him. He's a financial guru, I guess you would say, but he's very, very sane. And all his advice is very common sense, normal, like, here's his things. He has these baby steps. The first one is get $1,000 emergency fund. That way, if something like this happened to me on Tuesday night, I lost my keys at jujitsu. When Cora was doing jujitsu, they were gone. I looked everywhere. 2 hours. We cleaned that place inside out. I lost my keys. I had to call a locksmith. He got to my car and he had to make me new keys. It was $318. And I was kind of stressed out and hungry, so I ordered $67 of food while I was waiting. So a $400 expense that I wasn't planning on. But I have this $1,000 emergency fund. So when, after the locksmith made me my keys, got in the car, blah, 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 he's like $318. I had the money in my savings account. So it's called a baby emergency fund. It's a starter emergency fund, just so if something like this happened, I wouldn't have to put it on a credit card. Because his second step is to get out of debt, all consumer debt, credit cards, cars, student loans, any personal loans, IRS. A lot of people owe money to the IRS, like loans like that. Get them done. And he has a good system for it. You can listen to him. And then the third one is build up an emergency fund. And then they start going into saving for your future, saving for your kids' retirement, paying off your house, all that stuff. So I have hit baby step. I've never gotten past baby step 3. So I always get my $1,000. I always get out of debt, but I've never been able to save any money after getting out of debt. And I think that's the problem, because then something happens and then I get back in debt. So I'm back to listening to Dave Ramsey. It's a radio show. It's 2 hours a day. They take calls from all sorts of people. And so you can learn about what other people do in money situations. So I think it's really educational. And they also have an AI now called Ask Ramsey. Just so you know, Dave Ramsey's not sponsors of the show. But it's really cool because it's AI and it's inundated with all of Dave Ramsey's principles. Basically,
and I think it's really good that we're talking about Dave Ramsey because it works.
Yes, because you guys,
it's
what he says.
It's a system that works.
Don't spend money you don't have. That's like, yeah. I feel like if there's an overarching theme, it's right. Don't spend money you don't have, which we shouldn't be borrowing money to get something, especially something we don't need.
Exactly. So one thing that Dawn and I, once we were back on track with everything, we didn't have any credit cards. So we paid with a debit card, which is cash. Yeah. We paid cash if we had cash, but we just didn't have credit cards for a few years. So we couldn't spend money that we didn't have because we didn't have credit card. We didn't have credit to do that. Yeah. When you go bankrupt, you have this on your credit report, and then some companies still want you to buy their credit card, but they'll tack on 50% interest because they know you're
a flight risk.
It's just stupid. Yeah, right. Yeah. But again, it's simple. Don't spend money you don't have.
I know, and that's the thing with Dave Ramsey. It's all common sense stuff, but we get so a lot of us, like me included, get so emotionally tied up in money that I tend to make poor decisions, such as I was stressed about my car. And so I ordered food. I ordered whatever I could get quickest. I couldn't go buy something because my wallet was in my car. I ordered food to be delivered to me while I was waiting. And I was like, oh my gosh, I want this and this and that. And all of a sudden it was $67. Whereas I could have ordered Chipotle, whatever, for $10. But I was all like riled up and emotional and made a stupid financial decision. And I think that that's really common. And so to get back to the basics, pay off your debt, because then when you get money, you can spend it on your bills, the essentials, and then you can save up for the things that you want instead of putting them on a credit card and thinking you're just going to pay it off in 2 or 3 months. And then something happens. And all of a sudden, 5 years later, you still have that, whatever you put on your credit card 5 years ago. So, and as far as so do you and Dawn, so what do you put as your income? Do you just whatever you can pay toward whatever bills, or do you still budget your stuff, or you just put it all in a pot and see what happens?
He does everything.
Oh, that's nice.
I don't do anything. So I used to be in charge. Again, after 2008, when we moved to Chattanooga for his job and the job didn't work out, and then everything was on me, I took over all the finances. Like, that was my thing because it was easy for me to do, because I always did taxes. I'm the one making the income. And then we ended up transitioning so he could do it. He keeps a ledger on paper pencil. You know, he frequently balances up, make sure the ledger is balanced with everything. And he just handles all of that. I still do all the tax stuff because I'm the business owner and I have a lot of deductions and I've been doing it for years. It's really easy for me. But I just let him handle all that. And again, for me, I don't have to worry about it. But he also makes a lot of money, a lot more money than I do. So it's easy for him to do it. He actually spends a lot more than I do, which makes me happy because then when I want to spend something, I'm like,
you don't feel bad.
And I don't feel bad. Not that I ever feel bad, but sometimes like, I don't really need it. I'm going to wait. But I'm like, Don really didn't need that either. And he got it. So I'm going to get it. And like, I have my own, I have like my own debit card. So when I get paid from Lifetime, it goes on to, I call it my Lifetime card. So it's a debit card. So my income from Lifetime goes onto my debit card. So that's my play money.
Right.
My business, T2 Coaching, goes to Don and he handles all that. But my play money is when I get paid from Lifetime. So it's my play money, meaning I can spend it. I feel the freedom to do what I want with it because it's play money. It's not it's not doing anything for the bills.
Right.
We don't need that for the bills. I usually use it to register for races. I usually will wait until I get paid. If I'm eyeing a race, a running event or something, I'll be like, I get paid on Friday. I'm going to wait until I get paid. So then I'm going to use my play money to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where I think that's really important, especially if you're in a relationship and you guys put your money together, that you each get whatever you want to call it, fun money, play money, an allowance, whatever you want to call it, so that you have some money that you don't have to like check with each other, or you don't have to like feel guilty about or stressed about. You're just like, if you want to buy a $12 coffee every day and you have the money in your fun money account, then awesome. And I think I don't know if that's part of a Dave Ramsey thing, but they have,
it definitely works for us.
Yes, it is part of it because so he's really big on get that emergency fund immediately, sell everything, do whatever, pick up another job, get that $1,000 in there. Then go, and he says like go scorched earth, like go buck wild and get out of debt. Because getting out of debt is really stressful. And if you don't attack it, it's going to be there forever. Like your college, your college credit card that still had a balance on it from college, even after college. Mm-hmm. So that's super common. Like if you hear people call in, they're like, I was out of work for 6 months and now I have $30,000 in credit card debt. Like it just happens so quickly. So he's like, I don't care what you have to do. Don't eat out. Don't do anything. Don't do anything extra. Pay your basic expenses, what you need to live. Make sure you're safe and you and your family are okay. And then everything else, do what you can to get out of debt. And then you start the emergency fund building up, and you can back off a little bit. Like you don't have to like starve yourself. You don't have to like walk everywhere so that you don't pay for gas. When you get out of debt, then you can breathe a little, and then just be more intentional with saving, and then all the steps after that. But yeah, he is big on fun money. And especially when it's, when you're married and you combine your income and you guys can each have some that the other person, like, what if you want to buy your spouse a present? And you have to like share all the money, then you're like, I guess he knows what I'm going to get him.
Right. I like having that fun money, especially during the holidays. Because I bought him a massage and I forgot my fun money credit card. I didn't have it on me. And I'm like, he's going to know what I got. And it kind of takes the fun out of it because he already knew. But I don't know if he paid that much attention. I think he did, but he didn't admit it. And I'm like, I still saved it and I gave it to him on Christmas Day.
Right.
I'm like, you're not supposed to know what I got you. I'm waiting to give it to you Christmas Day.
Right. That's funny. So I thought of 3 things that I've done in the last, I've done a ton of things in the last 2 months. Like I'm on fire with my financial goals right now. And I feel really good about it. And I feel like this time it's real. I know I've said that 10 times. So check back in a couple of years, but I really feel like this is ridiculous. I want to change me and my habits to make this stick. And so I wanted to share 3 things I've done to save a ton of money over the last couple months. That's going to take into the future, just to give you guys some ideas. If you're like, I don't know where to start, this is so stressful. And then Wendy, if you have anything you want to add. So the first thing I did, or one of the things, is I pay $91 a month for my cell phone. And there's all these little cell phone businesses out there right now that are like $40 a month, $30 a month, $10 a month. So I started looking into them, and I found one that gave me unlimited everything, which is what I have. Plus I need a hotspot. I don't need a hotspot. I like having a hotspot because my daughter, she watches YouTube videos on her phone, and her phone isn't a real phone. It's like an iPad. It's like, she needs to be connected to my phone. So I need a hotspot for that. I want a hotspot for that. So, so I found one that was like $40 a month. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to switch to it. And I've been with T-Mobile for like 15 years. And so to keep your phone, you have to get a code from your phone place. So I texted T-Mobile and I messaged them on chat, and I was like, hey, I need the code to switch over to another provider. And they were like, oh, may I ask why you're switching? And I was like, yeah, I just can't pay $91. And T-Mobile doesn't have a comparable plan that's any cheaper, because I checked that first. And they were like, well, let's see what we can do. After like a half an hour of chatting back and forth with them, they changed my plan to $45 a month. Same exact plan to $45 a month. So I just say, yeah. So it's like, I just went from $91 to $45, and that will be my cost going forward. So that's saving me $45 a month, which, do the math, $500 a year. It all adds up. So that's one thing I did. The second thing I did is I'm using all the stuff in my house that I don't love, but that is okay. So like food, there's cans of things I haven't touched, or bags of rice that I haven't made. And I'm like, you just have to use all this stuff. You have to get creative. I've been making more things, which I don't normally do. My face, I have all these different face lotions that I didn't love, but I'm like, you have all these face lotions. You have toothpaste that you don't love. I looked around and I have all these things. I have this creatine that, like, I love my new creatine. It's green apple, and my old creatine has no flavor. So it doesn't even taste like anything. I just really like the green apple. So I kept ordering the green apple. I just ran out of it, and it was on a subscription. So I paused the subscription and I pulled out my no flavor creatine. So just everything around the house, food, cleaning products, skincare products, shampoo, all that stuff. I'm just using all the stuff I have. And it's like, I think I've paused like 3 subscriptions or skipped a month because I don't need it, because I have extra of stuff that I just don't love, but it's fine. Like, yeah. And then the third thing is a huge thing. I was thinking, so a year and a half ago, Cora and I moved from a 1-bedroom apartment where we lived for 4 years in a 1-bedroom apartment. And like 2 years ago, we were like, let's move into a 2-bedroom apartment. And it was amazing. And at the same time as when I ended up having to buy a car because my car died. And all of a sudden, all my payments for my house and my car and everything were too much. So that's one of the things that caused me to go back into debt, was I wasn't making enough to pay for everything. And so I'm listening to Dave Ramsey. He recommends that your rent or your mortgage is no more than 25% of your take-home pay. So I did the math, and my rent is 64% of my take-home pay. That's why I'm like, well, no wonder I can't get ahead. 64% is my rent. So I started looking at other apartments in the area. They're all the same. that's really expensive here. If you live in Colorado, in the metro, like I live in Westminster, really expensive. So then I'm like, oh, I guess I have to move back into the 1-bedroom apartment. And I felt such like a loser, like I'm going backwards. So I went online to see how much see what 1-bedroom apartments were available in our apartment complex. And I noticed a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment that is the next building over, same size as ours, very similar floor plan for $500 cheaper. And so last week I went to the office and I said, we want to move to this apartment. And we're allowed to transfer one time, like, per lease. And so they're actually coming today after we record the podcast to just do a walkthrough of this apartment to make sure we haven't trashed it. And if we get the okay, we get to move this week into a new apartment that's up 1 building away, and it'll save us $500 a month.
Nice.
So I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
So those are just some things. Those are
some things.
Yes. So what have you done? Or
again, I think the biggest thing is for someone, I have a family member who doesn't make a lot of money, and I think you find a job that makes more money. Right. I know that's not for everyone, but that is an option. I think that right. if you're making minimum wage or something, I don't even know what minimum wage is, and you just have this job that you are struggling to pay your activity of a daily living bills, rent, minimal food, whatever those bills are, electric, stuff like that, look for a new job.
Right.
And I say this because this is someone who's not looking for a new job.
Right.
But I think they can. And so you just, it's stressful. It's hard to start a new job. And at the same time, if you can find something, maybe this week you can't find anything, but if you keep looking, maybe next week you can. And just that peace of mind of finding a new job that has the same amount of hours, it's very comparable to what you're currently doing, and you're making it
right.
That is worthwhile, and that kind of stuff.
Right.
Looking at health insurance plans. Again, health insurance is very can be very confusing. But if you really take the time to look and get someone to help you find an insurance plan that is going to cover everything you need for $50 or $100 less than what you're paying, that is worthwhile to take that time to educate yourself about health insurance plans. Right. Because sometimes you're paying for health insurance for stuff that you're never going to need or never use. You have a certain deductible that you don't need, so again, it's just really taking the time. And this is stuff that stresses me out to take the time to do this crap. But once I make the time to do it, I'm like, I'm so glad. It was so worthwhile. It was really good time to spend educating myself of how to lower my monthly bills, like with health insurance, same thing with car insurance.
Yeah, I was going to say auto insurance as well.
Yeah. So just those basic things that you're already paying for, maybe a different plan can help you save you money. And so again, just the whole educational part of it. I'm the I don't sweat the detail type of person. I just don't like trying to educate myself. I just want someone to do it for me. But at the same time, I got to take control of my own livelihood, and it's a control thing. You just got to do it.
Right. And that's one thing I like about listening to the Dave Ramsey show is because it's on podcast, or there's a video there. You can find it anywhere, but it's 2 hours a day. And there's so many different scenarios played out that I feel like you're like, oh yeah, that does apply to me. Or, oh, this might apply to me in the future. There's a lot of
relatability. You hear people that you can relate to. Like you're going to eventually hear from someone who is like describing your situation.
Oh, I hear it all the time.
and it's really helpful.
Yeah. And one thing that I was thinking about listening to a podcast, and there's a lot of financial podcasts out there. And actually Ramsey has like 4 or 5 or 6 different of their personalities, their people. They all have their own podcast about the same principles, but different focuses. And podcasts are free. And that's what I've been listening 2 hours a day when I'm folding laundry, when I'm in the car driving, when I'm, walking the dogs. And I'm getting 2 hours a day of listening, and it's really keeping me on track. It's reminding me of the little things. It's getting me fired up to, get out of debt. And my original plan was to get out of debt by the end of the year. But I've been selling things left and right. I have been today, on Thursday mornings, I normally don't teach any classes, and I taught 3 classes today. And I feel like there's always opportunities to make extra money no matter who you are. And Dave Ramsey says that a lot. Someone will be like, oh, I can't do anything and this and that. And they're like, can you deliver pizza? Can you go work at the gas station? Can you do Uber? Like with Uber and Instacart and all that stuff now, all the delivery stuff, it's so easy to make an extra $500 a month. And that's maybe all you need to get back on track and get your confidence back.
Yeah, agree 100%. And, do an audit. Audit all your statements, all your bank statements, credit card statements, and look at all these subscriptions you have that you don't.
Yeah.
I was paying for something. A year ago, I was at home and I wanted to watch my high schoolers at their state meet. So I subscribed to the online thing that you could watch state meet live. And what did I do? I was convinced I was going to cancel it the next day.
And then you forget. Yeah.
I totally forgot. And for some reason, I didn't realize. I think it was coming out of my PayPal, which I hardly ever use. Right. So one day, probably 3 months ago, I was looking at my PayPal and I'm like, what is that for? And I realized it was for this high school thing. It was like $10 a month.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. So that was like $100 that I spent that I had no idea, because it was just coming out of my PayPal. And I always have a little income I always have like a buffer in my PayPal. Didn't pay attention because I hardly ever use it. So it was just something so stupid like that. So go look at your subscriptions,
right,
and see what you're subscribed to. Even if it's just like I pay $1.99 so I can have a bigger Google Drive account, so I can store more in my Google Drive. It's only $1.99, and sometimes I don't need it. So I'm like, I'm going to cancel that because I don't need it anymore.
Right.
So it's really important to audit your subscriptions.
Yeah, and just knowing, like Wendy said, when they first did their budget, and I hadn't done a budget in, I would say, well over a year. I haven't done a budget. If I have money in my account, I usually spend it all, and then I put things on my card, and then I forget about it, and all of a sudden I had $8,000 in credit card debt. So that was my first action that I took. January 1st, I started tracking every penny I spent and every penny I made. So if I sold a pair of Cora's old winter boots for $8, I wrote it down. If I every penny in, every penny out. And in January, I did try to limit some things and change some things, but I didn't judge. I was just I'm just auditing. I'm just looking. I'm just collecting data. And I was like, oh my gosh, I spend so much money on food. I spend so much money on supplements. I spent so much money going out. Cora and I order food a lot. We don't really go out to eat. Every once in a while we do, but we mostly order food in. And I was just like, okay, this is all stuff that, yes, I love doing it. And if I had extra money, it would be no big deal. But when I have a car, like I still owe money on my car, I had this credit card, and I'm like, nope, but we gotta nip that in the bud. So just being aware of those charges, those subscriptions, how much you spend on food, little things like that, I think is a really good place to start if you just want one step. One step, write down everything you spend in a month, write down everything you make in a month, and see how that matches up.
Just like tracking your food, if you're trying to lose or gain weight, you got to write down everything you put in your mouth, everything you drink, everything you eat, even if it's just one little piece of candy, it all adds up. You got to really be mindful.
Yep. And if you're an athlete and you want to crush your Ironman, you're tracking your workouts, you're tracking your recovery, you're tracking how many miles you've put on your shoes so that you don't get injured 600 miles into a 200-mile pair of shoes.
Right.
Did you have a listener question?
I did. I put it in my notes. I forgot to look at it before we.
I have a short one, but it was an interesting one. Okay.
Why don't you go first?
Okay. I had somebody ask me, do we sweat when we swim? So
I've had someone ask me that before.
I know. Yeah. It's interesting. I'm like, oh, we've never answered that.
Thank you for listening to Wellness Made Easy with Wendy and Kirsten.
If you want to learn more about us or anything we talked about today, check out the links in our show notes.
We would love to know what you think of our podcast and what you want more of. So drop us a comment, send us a message, and help us out by leaving us a rating and a review.
And don't forget to let us know your wellness win for this week.
Thanks for listening.
Make it a great day.